buying bows. Now I have a couple vintage bows here just as kind of showcasing them. They're just here. This one is the Darton Superflight Ranger, and this one is the Bear Polar. This one is a reflex deflex Bear Polar. There are recurve Bear Polars, but this one is a reflex deflex. So this is kind of a viewer demanded video, or not necessarily demanded, but you guys requested it, so I'm going to be doing a video on this. So to start off, I'm not going to be going into specific designs that you might be going after, but more or less what to look out for as far as dangers. Of course, there's certain things you do want to look out for. I'm going to be going over, first off, the kind of things you need to look out for when buying a bow. It really goes back to how they were taken care of, and there are many things you can fix or repair, like limb twist, but generally you want to try and get a bow that's in the best shape possible. These two bows are in really good shape for their ages. One of the first things you do want to look at is, and this is the biggest thing because you can't really fix this, is delamination. And by that, that's only on laminate bows. If you're looking at a fiberglass bow, this doesn't really matter, or if you're looking at a PVC bow, this doesn't really matter. But what you want to look at is delamination. Of course, I can't show you that because this isn't going to focus on it. But this red here is fiberglass laminate, and essentially when they make fiberglass laminated bows, it's two pieces, other than the riser, of course. It's two pieces of wood that are laminated together, and then there's on both sides a piece of laminate. So you want to make sure none of that is cracked, none of that is broken, or just anything. I mean, you have to kind of apply common sense to it. Anything that just screams, you know, danger, or that just looks really bad, don't get it. I mean, if there's a scuff in the fiberglass, it's not going to hurt the bow. But if there's crack or chip out pieces on it, unless it's on the tips at the very, very tip here, like into this portion right up here, it becomes debatable whether or not that's bad. Generally, if you can stay away from it, that's a good thing. Just try and buy the best bow you can, but as long as there's no serious delamination or cracks in the fiberglass, it should be. The next thing you definitely want to look out for is limb twist. Limb twist can be repaired, but once again, it goes back to buying the best bow you can. If you can buy a bow without limb twist, that's ultimately the best, but you can repair it. You can look up how to do that. I'm not going to explain that in this video, but the easiest way to do that is just make sure, if you're buying bows like on eBay, if you're buying them in person, just look down tip to tip, sight it, and if you see anything or if they don't quite line up, that's potentially bad. I mean, it doesn't have to be perfect. That's why you can use your eyes. I mean, if there's a little bit of limb twist, it's not that bad. Neither of these bows have any visible amounts of it. I don't think they have any, but certainly nothing visible. Something you do want to do if you are buying online is just make sure the one that you're buying either has returns on it or it's very well photographed. If they're not photographing it very well, that probably means there's something wrong with it that they don't want to tell you. But there are dead giveaways. Once again, limb twist is kind of self-explanatory. If the limb looks twisted, just stay away from that bow. I would not recommend getting it unless it was like your last option or you had to have that bow, because you can, like I said, twist it back, but it's a process that is a little bit hard, and if you can get another bow, I would recommend it. So recommended brands would have to be Bear and Darton are my two favorite, and that's because value for what you're paying. You generally get really good bows and for not a whole lot of money. Both these two were under $100. They're both very good bows. Blackhawk's another great one. Indian's not bad. Ones I would recommend to stay away from, there's only one that I would really recommend. Of course, other than no names or unknown makers, you do want to stay away from those. But Browning vintage recurves I would recommend to stay away from, because the laminate they used isn't quite as strong as these, and so it's very easy to twist the limbs on those, and you'll see limb twist very prevalent on those bows. So I would recommend staying away from Browning. But basically, other than that, most of your names like Ben Pearson, Bear, Darton, Blackhawk, all of those are really good bow makers. And as far as designs go, whether you want a recurve or reflex deflex, it's really up to you. I definitely recommend trying them all out. That's kind of what I'm doing. And recurves are awesome. If you do want to get like a first vintage bow, I might recommend a recurve or working recurve. There are also static recurves. Many different types of bows you'll see on there. There are also early compound bows, a whole bunch of different types of early compound bows when no one had really perfected the science of it. There's a whole bunch of really neat designs out there for vintage compounds, but these are just a couple that I have. That's kind of my tips for getting them, and I'm out.